If you want to make fabulous gluten-free food, you need to learn a little bit about the different gluten-free flours available. In this video, I'm talking about how to use oat flour for gluten-free baking. I'll talk about safe oats for the gluten-free diet, as well as the properties of oat flour and what I think are the best uses. This is number 11 of my 12-part series on how to use gluten-free flours. So traditionally, oats have been considered unsafe for the gluten-free diet because of contamination from wheat fields surrounded by wheat fields and shared equipment and processing along the way. So in recent years, they came up with the Purity Protocol, and it's quite a process. Farmers have dedicated fields that are only for oats. They have equipment that's dedicated for transportation and manufacturing facilities that ensure the oats are safe in the whole process with rigorous testing and are able to have the gluten-free certification on the oat product. So I'm going to put a link below to a podcast that gives more detail about this on a Canadian Celiac podcast. Was a whole episode on the Purity Protocol, which I found quite fascinating. I learned a lot from that. Just to beware that there are oats out there that say gluten-free that don't have the gluten-free certification. So there are some concerns that when these are tested, they have more than the 20 parts per million that's allowed to be considered safe, gluten-free, and achieve a certification. So I always recommend supporting manufacturers that are intentionally providing products for people with celiac disease and the gluten-free diet. So oat flour, the best thing about oat flour is you can make it from your own oats. So if you buy oats, either rolled oats, quick oats, or steel cut oats, you can use it in a food processor or blender and grind it to the fine texture of a flour. So this is ground oats, and it looks just like flour. It has oat flour is high in fiber. It has a light texture, and it has a mild sort of a wheaty flavor, so similar to wheat. It's an absorbent flour, so it adds moisture to gluten-free baked goods, which is always nice. It lends a thick and chewy texture to cookies, and it helps make cakes light and fluffy. So I would say the best uses for oat flour are, can be used in bread for bread makers, and but also up to 25% of oat flour can be used in any gluten-free flour blend or in a recipe. So there's two ways to do that. If you're making your own blend with, say, 8 cups of gluten-free flour, you could have 2 cups of oat flour. So that would be 25%. What I do is I use my homemade gluten-free flour blend, and then I take a recipe. So if I'm making my banana muffins, it calls for 2 cups of flour. If I want 25% to be oat flour, I'll just use 1.5 cups of my blend and then 1/2 cup of oat flour. So that way you can continue to use blends or things that you have in your own cupboard and still experiment with it. And you can certainly use less, 2 tablespoons, 1/4 cup, or up to 1/2 cup. If you go more than 25% of oat flour in your blend, then you'll have to make adjustments to the dry and wet ratios. So stick with less than 25% and experiment and see how you like the taste. Oat flour is also a substitute for sorghum flour or millet flour. So if you see recipes calling for that and you don't have it, you can try oat flour, or just if you're being adventurous. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe below. I'm Cindy, the Everyday Gluten Free Gourmet, sharing tips and recipes from my kitchen for more everyday cooking in yours. Thanks for watching.